In the heart of a small town, where the streets were lined with old oak trees and the air often smelled of fresh bread from the bakery across the square, there lived an elderly man named Thomas who had once been the pride of his community. In his younger days, he had been a teacher, a storyteller, and a musician whose violin strings had carried hope through weddings, festivals, and even funerals. But now, time had slowed his steps and dimmed the light in his once bright eyes, leaving him frail and often lost in memories that blurred like faded ink on old paper. And though his family visited when they could, he spent most of his days in silence, sitting by the window of his modest home, watching the sunlight shift across the wooden floorboards. His caregiver, a gentle young woman named Clara, had taken the job not only because she needed it but because she felt an inexplicable pull toward helping those who had stories locked inside them, stories waiting to be heard. And every morning she would arrive with a smile, brewing tea, adjusting his blanket, and softly humming as she went about her tasks. Yet something told her that Thomas carried a deep loneliness that no routine care could heal, for behind his closed eyes lay a silence that felt heavier than words. One evening, as the sun began to dip low and cast a golden glow through the curtains, Clara noticed Thomas shifting uneasily in his chair, his lips moving but no sound coming out, and instinctively she pulled a chair beside him, leaned close, and began to hum. Not just any tune, but a melody her grandmother had sung to her when she was a child, a lullaby that carried warmth, sorrow, and hope all in one. And to her surprise, Thomas's trembling hand stilled, his breath slowed, and though his eyes remained closed, a tear slipped gently down his cheek. And in that moment, Clara realized the profound power of music, that it could touch the heart where words no longer reached. So she sang softly, letting the song carry through the room like a prayer, wrapping him in a cocoon of comfort. The days that followed became different, for each time Clara sang, Thomas responded. Sometimes with the faintest hum, sometimes with the twitch of a smile, and once, astonishingly, he whispered a name, Mary, which Clara soon discovered was the name of his late wife whom he had loved with a devotion that had defined his life. And so Clara encouraged him, weaving their conversations through melodies, asking about Mary, about his youth, about the violin he had once played. And slowly, like dawn breaking after a long night, fragments of Thomas's story resurfaced, fragile yet beautiful. He told her of the first time he met Mary under the blossoming cherry tree at the town square, how nervous he had been to ask her for a dance, how their lives had been filled with simple joys, raising children, tending a garden, finding happiness in the little things. And though his voice trembled, Clara listened intently, knowing that she wasn't just hearing words but holding memories that had been locked away, waiting for someone to care enough to unlock them. One afternoon, Clara brought with her a small music player, and when she played a recording of a violin piece, Thomas's entire being seemed to awaken, his fingers twitching as if they longed for the strings, his lips curving into a smile so rare yet so genuine that Clara found herself tearing up. And with great patience, she encouraged him to hum along, and soon, though weak and fragile, his voice joined hers in harmony, a sound so pure it seemed to lift the weight of the years off his shoulders. Neighbors who passed by the window would sometimes stop, struck by the scene of the old man and the young woman bound by song, and word spread through the town of how Thomas was finding life again through music, not because his body was healing but because his soul was. Clara, too, felt transformed, for she had always believed her life was ordinary, yet in Thomas's company she discovered that her voice, her compassion, her presence could change someone's world, and she realized that true care was not just about tasks or medicine but about presence, patience, and the willingness to meet someone in their silence. Weeks turned into months, and though Thomas's health continued its slow decline, his spirit flourished. He laughed again, told stories again, and even when his strength waned, Clara's songs gave him peace. And one night, as she sat by his bedside, singing the lullaby that had become their shared language, he opened his eyes, looked at her with clarity, and whispered, "Thank you for bringing me back to Mary," before closing them again with a peaceful smile. And though Clara's heart broke, she knew that what they had shared was more powerful than words, that music had bridged the gap between life and eternity, and that love, even when expressed through something as simple as a song, could echo far beyond the moment. When Thomas eventually passed away, the entire community gathered not in sorrow but in gratitude, for they had witnessed the quiet miracle of compassion. And Clara stood there, humbled, realizing that sometimes the greatest gift we can give is not healing the body but touching the soul. And as she sang one last time at his farewell, her voice trembled but grew strong as others joined in, until the room was filled with harmony, a testament to the men who had once filled the world with music and the young caregiver who had given it back to him. And long after, whenever Clara passed that same window where Thomas used to sit, she felt not sadness but a deep reminder that small acts of kindness ripple endlessly, transforming lives in ways we may never fully understand. And to everyone who hears this story now, let it be a reminder that compassion is the most powerful melody of all. So if this touched your heart, If you believe in the beauty of human connection, let this story live on. Subscribe, stay with us, and let's keep sharing more stories that remind us of what truly matters, because somewhere, someone may need exactly the hope you carry in your heart.